Peoria area. I'm Renee Horaney. This is a Peoria Professional show. Every Thursday I come and share a special guest that you need to know about. This is Jenna Scifres, and she makes this beautiful, I know you can't see it, but beautiful handmade jewelry. And
Thank you.
today, yes, hi, so glad you're here. But we're going to have a contest, and the code word for that contest is purple. And later on in this interview, I'm going to tell you what you need to do with that code word. So stay tuned. So Jenna, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we met a couple of weeks ago, and I was so fascinated with your story. And I just want you to share that with everybody today, because I think there's a lot of people who are trying to do what you're doing and haven't had success with it yet, and other people who don't even realize this is a thing, so to speak.
Oh, definitely. So I think that, well, I don't want to go too far back, but I'll tell you that I think that
I was born.
I've always been kind of making jewelry and doing stuff creative with my hands and just different creative artistic things. And I always kept going back to jewelry. And so it's something that's you can wear every day, that's kind of fun to make and fun to work on and fun to personalize. So that's one thing that I've really gotten into, is the personalization of jewelry. So that's something that's just taken off for me. So how I got started, specifically selling online, is I was shopping a lot online, and I did a couple local shows, actually the Peoria Riverfront Market and some other local craft shows. And I had a couple people tell me, you know, are you selling on Etsy, or have you seen Etsy? So I had a few different people come up to me and say that. And that was in 2010. So I started a couple different Etsy stores. I went a few different ways with it. In the beginning, I wasn't really sure about the name or what I wanted to call it. And I kept thinking, nobody's going to be able to pronounce my name. So I didn't know if I wanted to go with my name for my business name, but ended up sticking with that. And so on Etsy since 2010.
That's amazing.
So what else about Etsy?
Okay, so first of all, I have discovered that people in the business world know what Etsy is.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people that are like, what's Etsy? So why don't you explain that first of all?
So Etsy is an online marketplace. I explain it, it's kind of like eBay, because a lot of people know more about eBay, but there's no bidding, but you have your own store, and then it's for handmade specifically, vintage items, or craft supplies. So there's other supplies, and a lot of people don't know about the supplies part. That's kind of been the last few years, I think, that Etsy's really pushed the supplies. So you can get jewelry making supplies, beads, things like that, even stuff like stationery and business cards. So you can actually, it's kind of fun because you can actually start an Etsy store and then get a lot of your supplies and even packaging and business cards and things like that on Etsy also.
Okay, so what's the cost of starting an Etsy store?
So for me, it was very minimal because I made a few things at a time. I made a few things, saw if they were going to sell. So it was very small investment. There was no it cost $5,000 initial investment or something like that. But per listing, there's actually 3 different fees that you need to worry about.
Okay.
And it's really just the cost of doing business is how I feel. There's some people that kind of complain about Etsy fees, but I think that it's a minimal amount for what you get out of it and the exposure that you get. So the 3 fees are 20 cents per listing. So if I put this up for sale, it's 20 cents per listing. Then there's a transaction fee from Etsy that you pay, and I don't want to quote it. It's like 3.5, but I don't know that for sure.
You mean?
Yeah, 3.5%. And then the credit card transaction fee, which is 2.9 or 3%. It's right around there.
Okay.
So so you've got those small percentages that do come out, and then the 20-cent listing fee. So I think a lot of people forget about the credit card processing fee, though.
Okay.
So that is something you would have to do, like if you're at a show and you're using Square or a PayPal card reader or something like that, that transaction fee you still have. So it's very minimal, and it's not a lot of cost where you have to pay, there's other websites where you have to pay so much per month to be selling on there,
Right.
or you have to pay a lot up front. It's just kind of nice to have that 20-cent listing fee is the only initial investment when you start listing your products.
Well, I think that the concept of Etsy is brilliant because if you start a business, then you have to, there's so many expenses people don't even know about.
Yes.
You know, so you would have, say, in making jewelry, the expenses of buying the
supplies for it, the materials,
buying the equipment.
Yes, that's true.
You know, and then whatever it is, the other expenses that would come along when it comes to you developing your creative ideas, whether it's magazine subscriptions or your time spent looking
even
for
classes.
inspiration.
Yeah.
So whatever that may be. And then you got to go and either set up your own website on the cheap or hire somebody and pay possibly thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And then that takes time. So the time is another issue as well. Whereas with Etsy, you know, as long as you have the product that you want to sell, you can do it at your own pace, right?
Yes, and that's the big thing is there's been a lot of expenses. Like as you're saying, I'm like, oh, that's very true. There are a lot of expenses, but they've been over time. So since this has been since 2010, 2011, I really got into it a lot more. So since it's been over 6 or 7 years, there's these expenses that have just kind of been building blocks. So, you know, working on my website, working on like my logo and my branding, things like that, all of that has kind of come along. So it's kind of nice that Etsy allows you to just kind of, if you've got a few products, you can jump in and start doing it.
Yeah.
But over time, you'd want to invest in things like better photography, maybe branding, some better equipment. I have so many tools, so it's ridiculous, really, how much equipment and tools I have.
So, like the two things, if you weren't on Etsy, the two things you would really need to get a business off the ground outside of going to events and setting up a table, okay? But other than that, it would be your website and social media.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But with Etsy, you know, you've got that presence. They are bringing people to Etsy.
That's wonderful about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you use your social media presence and your events that you're at and so forth to drive people to Etsy.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm using social media and a lot of even just physical marketing materials, paper marketing and things like that to then draw people into Etsy. But I have a lot of people that also find me on Etsy. So it's kind of nice that it's that marketplace that's now getting more, it's getting more traction, I guess. And they went public, I think it was last year. So there's a lot more people searching that out and looking for things. But then also people find me on Instagram or Facebook. Also a lot of word of mouth also. But what's nice about social media is then they can come look for me on social media. So if somebody says something to a friend or gets something as a birthday gift or whatever, they can then find me on social media and have access to me right away and see my whole
everything.
Yeah, everything I'm doing, what I'm working on, you know, projects that I'm working on, things in my store, see the prices, ask me if I can personalize something a certain way. So it's kind of nice that it's that accessibility that social media gives. So that's been really great.
Okay, so I want to talk about social media. But first, I want to tell you that Jenna brought these 4 beautiful pieces of jewelry. I know you probably can't see this with the camera being so far away, but the little state of Illinois, the heart. Oh, it's too cute. And yeah, the earrings and the ring, they're just so pretty. And you have a chance to win one of these pieces of jewelry. So I mentioned that we have a code word, right? And here's what I want you to do with that code word. First of all, we ask that you share this video on Facebook and then also direct message either on Facebook or on Instagram. Jenna, you want to tell your accounts?
Yeah, it's at Jenna Scifres. It's JennaScifres on both Facebook and Instagram. Well, everywhere.
Okay.
Twitter, Etsy, everything is just my full name. So
Okay, so send her a message by, let's say, noon Central Time, Friday, the 14th of July.
that
Okay.
sounds good.
And then we will get together and figure out, like who these 4 people are that get to win a piece of jewelry, and she'll even make sure that you get it for free. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, going to make sure you
It'll
get it,
be-
but you know what I mean? Like she'll ship it to you if
Yep.
that's necessary.
Yeah,
So
shipping's on me. So
yeah. So anyway, so that's what we want you to do. We hope that you enjoy this interview. And so let's talk
Okay.
more about social media, because like that's my jam too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love social media.
So on Instagram, let's talk about that for a minute. I noticed today that I had posted on the Peoria Life Facebook page that this interview was coming up.
Yes.
And then you took that image and you put it on Instagram. And when I looked a few minutes before you got here, there were 60 people already
Yeah.
that had liked that. And that's about, I think, about your followers and just liking and taking an interest in what you do, but it's also the hashtags.
Oh yeah, the hashtags.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I used to kind of be against using a bunch of hashtags. For some reason it just looked like, oh, I don't want to be look spammy or look weird that I'm using so many hashtags. But I actually watched this webinar, and I'm always watching webinars and listening to podcasts and stuff about social media and business and entrepreneurship. And someone said, if you're not using all 30 hashtags on Instagram, it's similar to not loading the dishwasher with dirty dishes all the way. So if you only use 5, would you run the dishwasher? I don't know why that just stuck with me, that dishwasher thing. So now I try to, if I'm going quick and I just want to do a quick update with, here's what I'm working on, I might only throw in a couple hashtags just to get it on my Instagram. But what I started doing is, I'm sure there's probably apps for this, but what I've been doing is just using a note in my
that's what I do.
So I just have these different notes started of groups of 30 hashtags, and sometimes they repeat in different groups, but they're like things about being a girl boss, like all girl boss hashtags basically, or things about sterling silver, or things about cats or something like. I haven't made a cat post in a while, but I have 3 cats. So something where I've grouped them, and then once I find another hashtag or I see something that's trending, I'll change up some of the stuff in my note. So I'd suggest that for other people too, like to keep just a running notepad or whatever in your phone, so you can quickly copy and paste, and then it's no time at all.
Right.
Just copy it and paste it in there.
The combination of social media and the smartphone is amazing.
I love it.
It's like,
I love it.
How did people have businesses before? You know what I'm saying?
I know. Well, I could not have had, I mean, it would have been so much work. And right now I'm rarely doing in-person events. I'm doing a few every now and then. I'm doing Pumpkin Festival.
Oh, good.
Too. That's the one thing I should mention, Pumpkin Festival in September, and that's Morton's my hometown. So, but I'm doing very few of them. It's a lot of work that goes into it. So much inventory you have to prepare, so much time that's invested, and money that's invested in tents and tables and your displays. And it just takes weeks leading up to the event to prepare for it. And with social media, I can find out, okay, are these earrings going to sell? I don't know, but I can make 1 pair of them and see if they sell and see if there's a demand. And then I can invest more into buying more materials or doing,
very smart.
So that's something I've been trying to do a little bit, is just kind of dabble and see what's popular, what's going to sell. And then you don't have to have all that inventory on hand right away.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the beauty of the
love
internet.
That.
Because I couldn't have my business if there wasn't.
Yeah.
If there wasn't an internet or social media or Etsy. So, and there's different marketplaces too, but Etsy just happens to be one that really took off for me.
Right. And so, I should keep it, oh my gosh, the time just goes so fast. We're still good on time, but, so.
We got so much to talk about.
I know. I want to talk about Amazon as well too, but first I want to ask you about video.
Okay.
What is your video strategy?
Okay, so with video, and I even made a video at the beginning of the year on my page and said that I was making a promise to do more videos this year, and I
Did that work?
no, I haven't. I keep having that in my head, so I need to be working a little bit more on my videos. But videos where I'm working, like the other day, I just posted one of me hammering. It's up close.
I love that.
So those are really
I should
easy.
be moving, but this is more fun.
Yeah, exactly. I should be packing right now,
Right.
but I'm making jewelry. So those videos are a lot easier for me, like a technique or kind of the jewelry making process is a
Right.
lot easier for me to shoot a quick video and it's just kind of whatever's happening in the moment. But I feel like I need to be a little bit better about my face, like actually talking about jewelry. I'm thinking about actually doing some live Facebook sales this fall
Okay.
with some of my stuff. So I want to do that and actually be on camera a little bit more. So that's something that's coming.
Yeah.
So my video strategy, I would say, is it's definitely evolving. It's always I think with anything in my business and social media, it's always changing what I'm doing. You find out something new or something different. But I do try to show my process quite a bit if I can. And I think that's something that not a lot of brands do, like bigger brands.
Right.
Where that's something that's more unique. Maybe they are now a little bit more with social media, but I find it's something more unique with small business artists and Etsy artists is they show, someone doing pottery and actually making it and having that as a video. So I think that really makes it more fun and that people know where it's coming from and what I'm doing.
And your inspiration behind it, your story, people connect with stories, and that's the beauty of social media is it helps us tell our stories.
Yes.
Like you're telling your story right now
Yeah,
of
that's true.
you and your business, and people love to hear that as opposed to just, looking at, oh, I don't know about this pair of earrings.
Yeah, there's
there's so
so
many
many
earrings
mass-produced.
or whatever. But when
Yeah.
they know, oh my gosh, and I even saw the girl who made these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's true.
and she's had this Etsy store, and they can connect and remember those stories. Like there was a story that you were sharing. My memory is escaping me, but just sitting here sharing a story. What was it? It doesn't matter. But you said for some reason I've always remembered that story.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the dishwasher
The dishwasher, exactly. Yeah. And anyway, but those stories help with our memory.
Yes.
And when you
Very
can
true.
share your stories on social media, if we watch a video and hear you, it's engaging the eyesight and the hearing, you know what I mean? And it can invoke, even if you were talking about, you sell jewelry, but if you were talking about food, it would invoke taste or hunger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the video part is so powerful.
Very true.
And it just so happens that it's so hot right now and it's everywhere.
Yeah, and even like some of this stuff that has more detail, like these little druzy things, look so much better on video. Like if I can get an up close video outside in the sunlight, and then you can see all the different facets of what's going on there. Because some you can't even really see with a photo. You can't see all the detail.
Right.
So I think that's why I want to do the Facebook Live like parties or events selling too, so they can see me holding it up, the size of it, how it would look on, things like that.
Oh, and not to mention the other people commenting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's so powerful when it validates what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even
people right now that say, oh, I have one, or I bought one similar to this, like that helps so much if people just comment.
They want to know they're on trend and that you're going to produce and, take care of them. And yeah, for sure. So that's awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Amazon because I think that's also another possibility for people. And in this economy, people need the side hustle. They need extra ways of earning money. They have things that they're passionate about, but they feel overwhelmed by, I don't know how to take it from I would love to make jewelry to actually earning a living.
Yeah.
Right? By making jewelry.
And it's taken, now this is my full-time thing, but it's taken 6 years for me since I thought, oh, maybe I can do this, to now. I mean, that's been that long just to build up a following and a customer base and figure out what I was doing. So with Amazon, I have had that feeling with Amazon so much, like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. How am I starting this? You know, so I'm there too. Because I was so familiar with Etsy and doing Etsy for so long, and Amazon just started for me this year. So just getting to kind of learn the ropes of Amazon has been interesting, and it's just it's learning a completely different system. But it's been great for me. So I do Amazon, the FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon,
Okay.
which is, there's different people that are doing different things. So my section of Amazon is like handmade at Amazon is what it's called. So it's something new that just started. I think it was maybe 2015 or 2016.
Wow.
So it's a fairly new aspect of Amazon. And it was interesting to get started. It was just so different. You know, it's a different website, completely different. Everything's in a different place than where I'm expecting it to be. So there's two different ways you can do selling on Amazon with handmade at Amazon. And you can do them made to order. So people see a picture of something and they say, I want this customized, or whatever, they want a different color or something like that. Then the other way is Fulfillment by Amazon, which is what I've been doing. So I make batches of products that I think are going to do well or that are selling well on my Etsy, make batches, list them, take the photos, do the description, everything, and then I actually mail them in to the Amazon warehouse, and then the Amazon warehouse ships them out when an order comes in. And those are eligible for Prime. So that's what's really nice. That's why I really wanted to do Fulfillment by Amazon. Not that I won't ever do the custom, but it's something that is another enticing sales point, I guess, for me. Another thing that would want people to buy it is that it's available for Prime shipping.
Oh gosh. So that sounds like another beast.
Oh yeah, that's why I said it's like I felt like brand new. I'm like, oh my gosh, can I do this? And I was up late at night on my computer, like trying to figure stuff out. Looking at YouTube videos, trying to figure out.
So you didn't
Amazon.
invest in someone's course teaching how to do it, or you just watched YouTube videos?
I have over the years done a few different webinars and paid for some different online courses, but with Handmade at Amazon, I have not. I've just been kind of learning as I go and watching videos, and Amazon actually has internally some videos and downloads that you can read that kind of help you and coach you. And the really nice thing about Amazon is that you can call them and say, which I've had to do a couple times, and say, I'm confused about this, or I sent in my shipment and it wasn't received. It shows that it was delivered to your warehouse facility, but I don't see my items up yet. Is there a time delay? I had to call about that at one point in time. They weren't being received in their system. So there's certain things like that where it's nice to have that phone support, which is what you don't have with Etsy. If you can request for them to call you, but there's no 800 number for Etsy. So that's something that's really nice about Amazon. For the seller, that you can call and say, I'm confused about this, or I need help, and they walk you through it. So that's awesome.
It's
so just figured it out.
It's incredible to think that all started in not Jeff. Who started Amazon?
Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
In his
I
garage.
think that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's insane.
Yeah.
Now it's like you can't even wrap your brain around it.
Yeah. So I think that's another aspect of starting a handmade business is I have goals. I have the end result in my mind, of being bigger than I am now. But it's not, I guess I kind of get stressed out about it, but you don't have to do everything all at once.
Yeah.
And that's something where if you just want to put something up, like a couple pairs of earrings or a ring or whatever you're making, sewing or quilting or something like that, you don't have to have a whole product line. I'm sure there's probably people that are like, oh, I need to have 100 items before I open my store, but you can just start with a few and go from there. See what's popular. So you can start small and just keep building.
How do you figure out what's popular?
Oh well, I don't know. I actually have my customers ask me a lot of times for customized stuff, and then kind of figure out how to do what they want, and then use that as inspiration for something new. So it's really helpful that I customize so much stuff, because that helps create whole new things of popular items, I guess. And sometimes I look on Pinterest too for inspiration. I'll look at, especially for weddings, like bridal party type of stuff, bridesmaid jewelry. Look on there, see what is kind of trending, see what the colors are for the year, for the season, and kind of use that to go off of what can I make that's more me. So I'm inspired by those different things on Pinterest and what people are asking me, and then kind of just run with it.
Right. Well, that's fascinating. You know,
Thanks.
I think when we all have creative abilities, but some just in different ways.
Yeah.
And mine are more in ideas than physical products.
Oh yeah,
you
I have a
know?
lot of ideas too.
Yeah.
I mean, ideas, you know, and it's almost stressful, like how many ideas I have. So another thing I do is I keep track, like I write things down. I'm like a notebook junkie. Like I have so many notebooks and lists and sketches and things like that. So physically that kind of helps me to put ideas on paper and come back to them later. So
Yeah.
that's what I
Awesome.
do a lot too.
Well, this flew by.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It really has.
So fun talking to you again.
You too.
And I love the fact that you have basically, you had a dream and you just keep taking the next step. Right? Even though you feel overwhelmed, you're not ruled by the overwhelmed feeling.
I like to
you
think
just
so.
keep going. Yeah. Absolutely.
can get
You've been
that
at it
way
for 7
sometimes.
years. So. Yeah, well, we all can. But anyway, for those of you watching, I just want to say thank you so much for hanging around with us.
Thank you.
And for a chance to win one of these beautiful pieces of jewelry that Jenna Scifres made, just want you to share this video and send her a message on Facebook or Instagram.
Yep.
And we will tally the winners tomorrow and announce them at noon Central Friday. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna.
PeoriaLife.com